Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a close look at Airbyte, a really key tool in data engineering right now.
That's right.
And this whole discussion is based on the source material you've shared, really digging into what it means to truly master it.
Exactly. And I think the big question we're asking here is, are you just kind of using Airbyte moving data around? Or are you actually mastering what it can do?
Yeah,
Because it's become, pretty central for pulling data from all sorts of places, a real workhorse.
absolutely. It promises a lot: speed, handling scale, flexibility, whether you're using their cloud version or running it yourself. And that open source background, plus the huge number of connectors they have, that's a massive draw for companies upgrading their data setups.
Definitely.
But as our sources point out, just clicking around the UI and setting up a basic sync, well, that's just scratching the surface, isn't it?
Totally. That's just the starting line. The real demand, the valuable skill, is for engineers who can push it further.
Hmm.
People who optimize, fix the tricky stuff, and, build connections when one doesn't exist out of the box.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What does an Airbyte master actually look like based on what we've seen?
Well, okay, sure. At the ground level, you absolutely need to know how to set up standard connectors. You need to get the sync modes like full refresh versus incremental, and yeah, using the UI effectively. That's essential.
Right, the basics.
But our source material calls that table stakes. It gets you in the game using Airbyte.
So where does it level up? How do you go from just a user to, well, an expert?
This is where the depth really matters. A master understands the architecture underneath. It's container-based setup, how the scheduler works, how source and destination connectors are these separate workers talking back to the server.
Okay.
And if you're self-hosting, which many do, this means really knowing Kubernetes, Helm charts, persistent volumes, cloud networking. It's not just data movement anymore.
You're basically running a distributed system.
Exactly. You're operating a data integration platform. Knowing that architecture is critical for figuring out failures fast or spotting performance issues before they become major problems.
And the sources really highlighted the Airbyte CDK. That sounds like a game changer.
Oh, it absolutely is. Primarily Python-based, by the way. The connector development kit, yeah, that's your key for custom stuff.
Like for internal systems?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Got a unique internal database, some niche third-party API that's vital for your business. A legacy system. Chances are there's no pre-built connector.
Right.
Mastering the CDK means you can build it. Build that specific connector yourself. That gives a company real agility, lets them integrate data sources maybe their competitors can't easily touch. It solves those unique, sometimes painful, data access problems.
And it's not just getting the data, it's doing it smartly, cost effectively.
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
Cost optimization is a huge marker of mastery, particularly when you scale up. Doesn't matter if it's Airbyte cloud credits or your own K8's cluster compute costs.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding how to fine-tune sync frequency. Actually using incremental syncs properly, managing resource requests and limits Kubernetes, digging into connector logs to debug. That shows someone gets the operational cost.
It's about efficiency.
Yeah, getting the data you need when you need it without, blowing the budget.
Okay, so bring it together for us. How does this combo architecture knowledge, CDK skills, optimization savvy actually help a business?
Well, think about a fast-growing company. Maybe onboarding lots of new clients. Their data is probably everywhere, databases, event stream with other tools.
Right, scattered.
Without really efficient syncing, their analytics team is flying blind. They can't give timely insights to sales or product teams.
Okay.
An Airbyte master. They could use the CDK for those internal systems or niche tools. They could set up a robust monitored Airbyte on Kubernetes. And critically, they optimize those syncs, maybe using incremental where possible, get the resource allocation right, potentially slashing operational costs, maybe even by that 40% figure mentioned in the source material with good management.
That's the real impact then. It shifts from just moving data to actually accelerating the business. Faster insights, better decisions.
Absolutely. It demonstrates that Airbyte, powerful as it is, its effectiveness really depends on the engineers behind it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
So whether you're leading a data team trying to hire top people, or you're an engineer looking to seriously level up, developing this deeper expertise, understanding the architecture, mastering the CDK, optimizing on platforms like K8's.
It's becoming crucial.
It feels less like a nice to have and more like a core requirement,
Yeah.
and definitely in demand.
Yeah, mastering these areas really shifts you from just being a user of a tool to someone who builds and operates essential strategic data infrastructure.
So thinking about your own career path, or maybe the skills you need on your team, Given how flexible Airbyte is and how widely it's being adopted, what specific area of advanced Airbyte skill might be the most strategic for you to focus on next? Something to really consider.